Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Enough channel. In this video we're going to preview round 14 of the 2025 NRL Fantasy season. So before we talk about my team, we'll have a look at the most popular trade-ins and trade-outs, the who's hot, who's not list. And so number one, we've got Toby Couchman. So returned from injury last week, had a really good game, played 80 minutes. I forgot to check whether that was all on the edge or if it was a bit of edge, bit of middle. I think it was probably the latter, but this is just purely me speculating. But has proved that he can play big minutes, even if it is exclusively in the middle. But I guess he's playing a bit like that Dylan Egan role, perhaps a bit of a hybrid, start on the edge and come into the middle. So I think he is a keeper for the season. The Dragons do have a bye in round 16, and then that's their last bye. So if you can cover him in 2 weeks' time, I think he's a hold till the end of the season. So Toby Couchman, great trading. At number two, Nathan Lawson. So I guess getting the spot over Tyrell Sloan is massive. I sort of had an eye on him for next week, thinking like he'll definitely have a spot with Val Holmes on Origin duty, but he may have a spot for the long term. And again, talked about the Dragons buy coverage from here on in. So I think he is the cheapie of the week. Can bring him in comfortably. Kyle Matangi, I guess a little bit more of a question mark around his availability, given there's a bit of chat about him getting called up to Origin with Mitch Barnett's injury. But I think if you can hold around that anyway, he is another one, season-long keeper. Lock him in. Jaden Campbell, I've said it all season. I'll say it again. Probably, number one wing fullback. Doesn't matter if he plays halfback or fullback. Obviously, at halfback, he does have that base with the kicking game. But I think he's integral enough to their attack that playing at one is fine. Just probably doesn't get those tackles up. So bring him in. He's going to play next week as well, which is super helpful. Heath Mason, an interesting one. Obviously, he's cheap and going to make a bit of money. There was a question mark with Latu Fainu coming back from injury, but he's been named on the bench. So maybe it's Mason's jersey to lose. The only other issue would be not playing next week because of the bye. So if you've got 13 for next week and you need to make some cash, I think he is a viable option. Damien Cook, so I guess we've just talked a bit about the Dragons. Another option here, a lot of people are identifying that, Jacob Little being on the bench isn't affecting his scoring because Little comes on, Cook just moves to the lock position and, does a job there. So definitely one I'd consider. I'm probably not personally going to look at it just because I've got a few too many Dragons, which sort of spoils what my trades are this week, but it's probably fairly obvious. Pasifiki Tonga. So again, a lot of people looking at the Dragons buy coverage. He's got a good break even thanks to crashing over for a try last week. Who's to say he can't do it again? So I don't hate it. I think Lawson's a better cheapie this week, and probably got Pasifiki Tonga above Mason on the order just because of the buy coverage and, trying to scrape 13 next week. Owen Paddy, I think, is a bit of a trap. Tom Starling should be back this week, so Paddy will revert to the bench. Play that more bit part role. The Raiders have a bye next week as well, so I think you're better off investing your money elsewhere. Jack Williams is an interesting one. Obviously, the dual position's handy, and he probably is the middle edge asset you would want from the Eels. But the Eels do have a bye in round 15, and they also have the bye in round 18. So not the best for the buys, but I can see the appeal. I'd just be looking elsewhere. Josh Curran bought in a couple of weeks ago. Obviously the dual position coverage is nice, the buy coverage is nice. Be interesting to see how it all works out with Lockie Galvin coming to the team. A few rumours that he might play lock, which might not affect Curran so much. But with the news Tupanua's out, there might be a bit more of an edge role for him. Although Preston's only a week away, so I think he will revert to the number 10 next week. But he does play those big minutes in the middle, and particularly with Max King out, he'll be very vital in that role. Ewan Aitken, so was pretty popular last week. Buy coverage is good. I don't know what the scoring's like. How did he go last week? Let's have a quick look. Luckily, the website's not too terrible at the moment. 55, so he's on a bit of a roll since moving back to the second row, and even you look there, so probably is underpriced, priced at 48, but is given 55 plus on the edge, like tackles 50, 40. Probably under let you and Aiken slip under my radar a bit, but yeah, don't hate it as a nice bit of squad a good squad piece for the coming weeks. Lehigh Hopewadi, so plays fullback again this week. Might revert to the wing next week, but will cover round 15, round 18. Um, just not sure on the price. What's the price? 531. So yeah, could do a job during the buys. So if you want Hopewadi, bring him in. Reece Walsh back from injury. Bit of chat, it might be a bit rushed, so I'd rather have a look. The Broncos will be on the bye next week, but I'm guessing it's based on price. Yeah, 466. I can see the appeal. I think he'll be cheaper in 2 weeks' time though, so probably not a trade in for me. And Scotty Drinkwater. So I guess despite his monster break even in Supercoach, not out of the realms of possibility in fantasy 66. He's done that a couple of times this year, albeit not against the Storm in Melbourne. So I'd consider waiting a week, try and squeeze the last little bit of cash out of Isaiah Iongi, and then looking to potentially upgrade there next week. On the chopping block, Rob Toyer, so won't play this week or next week due to Origin, and then has a similar pattern in round 17, 18. So plays one of the next five based on that. So I think he can go. Kaltoga, so probably done his dash for us. What's the break? Yeah, he's peaked in price. Has the buy next week, so he can go. Saval is an interesting one. I think he's still got some money to make. Not a lot, but the buy coverage is pretty good. Um, Not sure on Sam Walker's timeline, but I think he'll be good for at least next week. Um, might be one out of our teams by round 18. Mitch Barnett out for the season, so he is one that is a regrettable chop. Zach Hosking won't play next week, so you can jump off now if you want. Dylan Egan's another season long one, so yeah, regrettable chop. Nwangani Tuase, I think he is a hold. Obviously, not playing this week, but by coverage, his dual position status is pretty handy too, being able to sort of cover wing, fullback, and centre. I think that's what his role is going to be for me, is that backup in the back line. So I'm trying to hold him for the season. Jamal Fogarty, so I'm guessing not named this week. I just gave away my trades, but that's all right. I was going to try and find out the injury, but yeah, so has him listed as this week. I don't know if he was named or not. If he's named, he's a hold, but obviously if he's out, he's not going to play next week, so you can cut him. So I might try and have a quick look. Yeah, Fogarty back in. So that's, I think, a silly trade out. Hold him this week. If you really want to chop him next week, you can. But he's almost a keeper in the halves, given his dominant role. Sandon Smith, a lot of people just jumping off the Roosters. Um, I guess Sandon Smith doesn't have the money to make so much anymore. So I think if you've got him and Savala, you still hold Savala, you chop Sandon. Um, but I guess if you are upgrading him to a season long keeper, like, and obviously you got the numbers for 15, 18, fair enough. Corey Horsburgh, so a bit like Zach Hosking, won't play next week, so it could be time to just cash out. Payne Haas, so I guess a few people scared of losing value. Um, I guess the thing to remember with that is you only lose value if you do trade out. If you don't, if you just hold him, he's worth whatever he was when you bought him. So I'm going to hold AJ Brimson. So on the extended bench, so if you can wait till game day, because he could feature, and if he comes back, he will slot straight back into the one jersey. So we do like him at fullback. Tommy Jenkins, yeah, it doesn't help us with buy coverage, so he can probably go. Billy Burns, Teague Wilton back in the side, so Billy Burns can go. And Jamie Humphries, so I guess if you've got him, he's obviously going to leak a little bit of cash. Might still be trying to fix up. So he had a 49 and a 22. I guess we want him back here. Just hasn't quite got there yet. So it's one I'd probably hold. Just the Rabbitohs buy coverage is pretty good coming up. I think it's only round 19 that they missed. So I think Humphreys isn't the worst option to hold. So yeah, so they're the trade-ins, trade-outs. In terms of my team, I did flash it up on screen before. We are got one eye ahead to next week, um, bringing in or getting rid of Hopgood and Riley Smith. Um, Wanted to bring in Couchman, so needed a cheapie, a reliable cheapie, I suppose, to make that happen. And I think Lawson has delivered. Um, Plus, just good to get the name in there on the team sheet. So two dragons in, two eels out. Um, Team lines up like this week. So basically an upgrade on the edge. So we've now got Couchman, Matangi, and Curran as our edge cover. Obviously, the trio up front are absolute weapons. So, looking through this team, it's pretty close. You swap Tedesco for Yongi. That's pretty much the 13 that we're going to try and keep for the season. On the bench, Curran is going to be kept. As I said, Nwanga Tuase will be a keeper. Might not play every week, but just the flexibility of covering wing fullback centre is super helpful. Um, and then the one issue we have is round 16. So I guess just looking ahead, round 15, we've got Tabunga's going to play hooker. We've got Pasifiki, Tonga, Curran, Couchman in the middle, Matangi, Lucas on the edge. So Nwangani Tuase will slide into the centre position. And then we've got Campbell, Tedesco, Sharp, wing fullback, which then leaves us with Pasifiki, Tonga, King Togia, Lawson, Savala on the bench, all playing next week. So we've got 13. Obviously, injuries and stuff may force some moves, and that's fine. We do have an issue with 16 though. So round 16, we've got the Bulldogs, Dragons, Manly on the bye. So you can see we've got four Dragons now. We've got two Bulldogs, and we've got Jazz Tavanga. So that's seven. But we already know that Isaiah Yo and Nathan Cleary aren't going to back up. So we're down to 12, and this is before we even allocate positions. But I think the player is going to be King Togia will just be traded to someone who's playing. We won't be too fussy. And I think if there's any other injuries, we may just force trades to try and get 13. And, if we look back to last round, sort of having that 13 was really beneficial in pushing the team up. Probably more beneficial in round 12, where we rocketed up the leaderboard thanks to our top 10. Any excuse to get that back in there. But yeah, I haven't done the position analysis for round uh, 16 yet, but I think we should be okay just at a quick glance. But I might have to work it out. I don't want this video to drag on though, so I won't do it here. It's definitely something we can discuss next week. So we'll wrap the video up there. As always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the fantasy content. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.